waste as pristine scenic mountains now turn into massive seasonal dumping grounds. From popular viewpoints to remote trekking trails, plastic bottles and wrappers are choking the life out of our favorite holiday spots. The reality is that tourist footfall has massively outpaced the actual handling capacity of these fragile hill towns. Single-use plastic has emerged as the biggest polluter, leaving trekking trails, valleys and riversides heavily littered with garbage. Whilst hotels and homestays thrive on business, they are simultaneously generating mountains of waste that local municipalities simply cannot manage. Environmentalists are sounding the alarm, warning that mass tourism is pushing these incredibly fragile mountain ecosystems straight to the edge. The tourism boom is coming at a heavy environmental cost, and we are paying for it with our natural heritage. Managing this crisis is incredibly difficult as well, because city solutions simply don't work here in the highlands. The steep terrain leaves very little flat space for scientific waste disposal or landfill sites, and as a result, tons of garbage are routinely dumped directly on the slopes, which eventually slides down to pollute the pristine valleys and forests below. This is not just an eyesore, it's a full-blown safety hazard. Blocked mountain drains raise the risk of sudden flash floods and devastating landslides during the monsoon. Furthermore, these open dumps contaminate natural springs, freshwater streams, and local drinking water sources. In many areas, the lack of disposal options leads to the open burning of plastic waste, which releases toxic pollutants into the clean air and speeds up the glacier melt. If you think this is an exaggeration, look at what three major independent reports are telling us. Their common warning is loud and clear. Tourism has completely outgrown the mountains. The crucial NITI Aayog warning highlights that Himalayan towns are currently under severe ecological stress due to unregulated growth. Meanwhile, a detailed World Bank finding emphasizes that mountains need specialized, unique waste solutions because standard urban models completely fail here. Compounding this, a recent National Green Tribunal observation points out growing critical failures in local garbage processing and disposal systems. The evidence is out there, and the warnings are official as well. Two very credible voices with us on the broadcast, and the big question that we're trying to underscore: what practical steps can hill stations take to improve waste collection and disposal in areas with steep terrain? Should there be limits on the number of visitors to protect these sensitive mountain areas? And how can state and central governments create policies that are specially designed for waste management in the hill regions? Dr. Manish Kumar Naja, Director, ARIES, joining us from Nainital. Many thanks for taking out the time. Mr. Pradeep Sangwan, founder of NGO Healing Himalayas, with us on the broadcast as well. Mr. Sangwan, I'm going to start with you. And we've been seeing your pictures and your news reportage. There's a lot of good work that's been happening on the, on the hill stations. And as part of the Heal the Hills campaign, it's quite important that we give faces like yourself the right kind of platform to speak out to the people. So your team, we know, is doing the God's work, cleaning waste from some of the most pristine locations. Every tourist season, we see the same pictures of plastic bottles, the food packets. But what is the single most common item that you keep finding here, sir?
There are so many unnecessary materials that are reaching at a certain altitude, but plastic bottles, which can be avoided, are the biggest source, although they are very recyclable in nature. But still, if we need to control certain materials reaching into the certain altitudes, I think plastic bottle should be the number one, followed by single-use plastic, which is like many faces. We call it monolayer, multi-layer, disposable materials. I don't know why this word has become so famous that we think that everything which is called disposable can be disposed of biodegradably, but which is not. So we need to correct our mindset around these definitions. So single-use plastic, plastic bottles, which can be easily replaced. There are so many alternatives which are available. But yes, these are the most difficult materials.
But is it entirely the tourists' fault here? I mean, should we be putting the entire blame on the tourists? Of course, they can learn manners. There's no doubt about that.
No. I think the local communities are equally to be blamed for, because the focus area is always the economic growth rather than the ecological, disaster which are happening. In the summers, we see a lot of garbage coming in. In the monsoon, we see a lot of cloud bursts are happening, and nobody is able to understand the repeated signals that has been given by the climate that is happening.
Right.
So equally, the local communities, if I'm going to somebody's house, I must set the rules that these are the rules that you must follow. So same goes for the locals. They should create certain boundaries, and that's how the tourists should behave. But at the same time, the number of tourists coming to a particular destination is too high
Yeah.
to sort of control by the local community. So I think there are a lot of
Have
checks
we
and
seen
balances.
that? Because I remember, Mr. Sangwan, the last time we spoke was about a month ago when, the hills were still brimming right up to the top. We were loving our mountains to death back then as well. Has the word gone out? Have people stopped coming in? Of course, schools have also reopened. Some places holidays are still on, but schools have reopened. People have gone back to their, residences. Has the situation gotten any better? We've got visuals from Shimla that say that, you've got new boards by the authorities that say don't make this a dumping ground. Is there any word or awareness that has actually helped?
No, the number of tourists coming in is still the same, which was in the month of May and early June. I think the only thing that will stop tourists coming into the mountains is the monsoon. But this year, as we see the patterns, there is very less
Yeah,
rainfall which is
yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen. So I think through the monsoon also we'll see a lot of tourists. It's a good thing that that is happening. People are coming. Local communities are making money out of it, and it's a economic prosperity. But we must set certain boundaries around tourism. We must create certain ecosystems to handle this kind of footprint. Everything is beyond carrying capacity. Shimla cannot handle this kind of tourism because the water supply and
Yeah.
everything is not there. So yes, the tourism is still there and is with the same number, but we're hopeful that by the first week of July things
All
will
right.
settle. Yeah.
Dr. Manish, experts are warning that open burning of plastic produces black carbon that can accelerate glacier melt. We've seen, a lot of cloudburst incidents last year as well. How real is this particular threat that we're talking about?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so before I come to the specific question you have asked me, I would like to also touch upon the points you have started with the plastic. And another point I would like to point out here about this plastic and bottles, which we are now it is scientists are coming up on this issue. That one aspect is the microplastic.
Yeah.
Now, these things, this plastic which we are seeing, it is very visible to us that it is polluting our environment. Now, the microplastic,
Yeah.
which is basically indirectly going in our bodies, we are inhaling and the other aspect, not only human being, for the animals.
Yeah.
So that is the one another major aspect which we have to see about the microplastic. And now coming back to the things you mentioned of burning. So of course, as you know, the burning of anything is very dangerous for the human health and also for the environment. So not only burning of the plastic and any garbage. Now, just a few days back, we have published one study, basically aspect on the hydrocarbons, particularly if you say on the volatile organic compound. That is the one group of non-methane hydrocarbons. And you will surprise, our study was focused on some of the hill area like Munsiari in the Uttarakhand. And we assume that Munsiari is very remote region, one of the nearby glacier region. And in the ambient air, the levels of the non-methane hydrocarbon, they're much higher than the even lower altitude, like my institute is in Nainital, which is at the lower altitude. And the pollution level in the Munsiari were much higher than the Nainital. And that is mainly because of the local transport or the vehicle or the burning, whether it is in the combustion in the automobiles, basically the diesel vehicle, or the biomass burning. And biomass burning include all this burning of the plastic. Now, in this non-methane hydrocarbon, the one major compound we call the aromatic hydrocarbon or the BTH, like group of the benzene, toluene, xylene. Now, these compounds, they lead to the very severe impact on humans, like particularly on the cancer. And our study has shown, like even in the place like Munsiari, which is very remote, the people have the high potential to get affected with the cancer.
So a toll not just on the mountains, but a toll on the human body itself as well.
Yes.
But you see, as part of healing the hills, I think we've got too many humans. Of course, the cost and the cost of a human life is, of course, paramount here. But I think the way we're treating our hills, that's really not the way that Mother Earth does not necessarily deserve this. My final question to you, Mr. Sangwan, you see, we always talk about the etiquettes. Let's once again brush up the memories of all the viewers here. 2, 3 simple tips that you'd like to point out for anybody who's taking a little hiking trek, a little trip up to the scenic viewpoint?
See, we miss one of the most basic aspects of our lifestyle, and this is how do we manage our waste that we generate along a journey. We recently, I told you last time as well, that we recently launched a campaign at Kedarnath, which is called Carry Me Back. Any pilgrim or yatri coming to a certain destination, such as Kedarnath or any Chardham location, they must carry something back with them. And this is what we have started. And in the first 15 days, we have interacted with 1,300 pilgrims, and they carried about 2.5 tons of waste to the foothill, which reduced the cost, which otherwise we would have spent about 68,000 rupees to transport that material. So something very unique that has happened, and people are appreciating it, coming forward. So rather, I've been teaching that how do you manage your materials which you carry along the yatra. We drink tea in a disposable cup which has a plastic layer in it, and which is very carcinogenic. It gives you cancer, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term. So we must understand that we should ditch completely these single-use plastic cutleries first, then plastic bottles. You are in the Himalayas. There's no deficiency of water there. So wherever you go, you will find water, and people are very accommodative in that manner. So 2-3 things in a journey of 3-4 days, you will reduce about 500 to 1 kg of material of your journey, and that is
fair enough.
That will give us a lot of respite.
Fair enough. I think it's not about whether the hills can handle more tourists. I think the hills will muster up some sort of space to accommodate each and every one of us. The hills love us. It's about whether we love it back to death or not. The question is simple. When will tourists learn to respect the hills? And I think we'll leave it at that. Dr. Manish, Mr. Sangwan, many thanks for taking out the time and speaking to us here on this very special campaign. And we're going to continue to talk about this. Heal the Hills is a commitment here on News9. Many thanks for taking out the time. A quick commercial breather here. On the other side, our special segment on FIFA. We've got a very special guest who's joining us right from the United States. Don't go anywhere.
लाइन डेजर्ट किंग डेट्स ओमान देश में स्थित लाइन डेट्स की फैक्ट्री में अच्छी क्वालिटी के डेट्स चुनकर अच्छे से साफ करके उन्हें अपनी